Welcome to tonight's journey. Find a comfortable position. Let your body sink into the softness beneath you and allow your breathing to slow and deepen. Tonight we walk through winter woods to a place of warmth and comfort. The forest path stretches before you in the fading light of a winter afternoon. The sky above is pale lavender, streaked with bands of soft pink and gray, where the sun has just dipped below the distant hills. The air is cold and crisp, carrying with it the clean scent of snow and pine. Your boots crunch softly against the packed snow beneath your feet. Each step is steady and sure, following the narrow trail that winds between towering evergreens. Their branches are heavy with snow, bending slightly under the weight, creating gentle archways overhead. The world is deeply quiet here. There is no wind, no birds calling, only the rhythmic sound of your footsteps and your own calm breathing. The snow muffles everything, wrapping the forest in a blanket of silence that feels almost sacred. You are Elliot tonight, a traveler seeking shelter and solitude after a long week. The weight of the world has fallen away with each step into these woods. Out here, there are no demands, no urgency, only the simple act of walking and the promise of warmth ahead. The path curves gently to the left, following the contour of a small hill. You pause for a moment, looking back the way you came. Your footprints trail behind you, a single line marking your passage through the pristine snow. Already the light is dimming, the forest taking on deeper shades of blue and purple. You turn forward again and continue walking. The cold touches your cheeks, but it is not uncomfortable. It is refreshing, awakening, a reminder that you are alive and present in this moment. Your breath forms small clouds in the air, dissolving quickly into the gathering dusk. The trees here are ancient, their trunks thick and solid, their bark deeply furrowed. Some are dark with moisture, others pale with frost. As you walk, you run your gloved hand along the rough bark of a particularly large pine. It is solid and real, grounding you in this peaceful place. The trail begins to descend slightly, winding down into a small valley. The snow is deeper here, untouched and smooth, glowing faintly in the dim light. You move carefully, placing each foot with deliberate care, feeling the give and compress of the snow beneath you, and then through the trees ahead you see it. A warm glow, golden and inviting, filtering through a frost-covered window. The cottage. The cottage sits in a small clearing, nestled against the hillside as if it has grown there naturally. It is built of grey stone, each piece fitted carefully to the next, with a steep roof covered in a thick layer of snow. A stone chimney rises from one side, and though no smoke emerges yet, you can see that it has been used recently. The windows are small and square, their panes old and slightly wavy, framed with dark wood. Light glows from within, soft and welcoming. Someone has left a lantern burning for you. You approach the front door, which is made of thick planks of oak, weathered and solid. The handle is cold iron, smooth from years of use. You turn it and push, and the door swings inward with a low creak. Warmth greets you immediately, not the heat of a blazing fire, but the gentle, lingering warmth of a space that has been recently occupied and prepared for your arrival. You step inside and close the door behind you, shutting out the cold and the darkening forest. The interior of the cottage is simple and perfect. The main room is small, with stone walls and a low ceiling crossed with dark wooden beams. To your left is a large stone fireplace, its hearth swept clean and ready. To your right is a sturdy wooden table and 2 chairs, worn smooth with age. Against the far wall is a kitchen area, modest but complete. Open wooden shelves hold jars and tins, ceramic bowls and wooden spoons. There is a deep stone sink with a hand pump, and beside it a countertop of smooth pale wood. And there, set into the stone wall itself, is the oven. It is a traditional wood-fired oven, its mouth a dark arch framed with blackened stone. The opening is large enough to fit several loaves, and inside you can see the curved dome of the baking chamber. Built from fire brick that has been heated and cooled thousands of times. You remove your coat and boots, hanging them on wooden pegs by the door. Your feet are grateful to be free, and you wiggle your toes, feeling the smooth stone floor beneath you, still holding a hint of warmth. The cottage has been stocked for you. On the shelves you can see cloth bags of flour, a ceramic jar of salt, a small crock of honey. There is a covered bowl on the counter, and when you lift the cloth you find a portion of sourdough starter, active and bubbly, its surface domed and smooth. Someone has prepared this place for you. Someone knew you were coming and wanted you to have everything you need. The thought fills you with quiet gratitude. You move to the window and look out. The forest is nearly dark now, the trees visible only as darker shapes against the deep blue of the evening sky. Snow has begun to fall, tiny flakes drifting down in the still air, adding to the silence. You turn back to the warm interior of the cottage. The lantern on the table flickers gently, casting soft shadows on the stone walls. Everything here is simple, honest, real, and suddenly you know exactly what you want to do. You want to bake bread. The decision settles over you like a warm blanket. Yes, bread. Something about the idea feels deeply right, deeply satisfying. The act of creating something warm and nourishing, of filling this small cottage with the smell of baking, of having something simple and good to eat before you sleep. You move to the shelves and begin gathering what you need. The movements are slow and deliberate, each action its own small meditation. First, a large ceramic bowl, cream-colored and smooth, slightly cool to the touch. You place it on the wooden counter where it sits heavy and stable. Next, the flour. There are 2 cloth bags, one of white wheat flour and one of whole grain. You choose the white, untying the simple cord that holds it closed. When you open the bag, the smell rises up to greet you, sweet and wheaty, utterly wholesome. You will need water and salt and the starter. You will need time and warmth and patience. You have all of these things. Before you begin, you prepare the oven. You need to build a fire inside it to heat the stone and brick until they hold enough warmth to bake the bread perfectly. This will take time, but that is good. Time is what you have, and time is what the bread needs. You gather kindling from a small basket by the fireplace. The pieces are dry and thin, perfect for starting a fire. You carry them to the oven and arrange them inside on the brick floor, building a small loose pile in the center of the baking chamber. Next, you add slightly larger pieces of wood, creating a structure that will allow air to flow and flames to catch and build. You work carefully, your hands moving with quiet confidence. You strike a match, and the sound is loud in the silent cottage. The small flame dances at the end of the matchstick, bright and alive. You touch it to the kindling, and the fire catches immediately, small flames licking up around the dry wood. You watch for a moment as the fire establishes itself, the flames growing stronger, beginning to crackle softly. The light flickers inside the domed chamber, and already you can feel the first hint of heat. You add a few more pieces of wood, slightly larger now, feeding the fire and building it up. The flames respond eagerly, rising and dancing, casting shifting patterns of light and shadow on the interior of the oven. Satisfied, you step back. The fire will burn for a while, heating the stone and brick until the oven is ready. While it burns, you will prepare the dough. You return to the counter and stand before the large ceramic bowl. The lantern light is warm and steady beside you. Outside, the snow continues to fall in the darkness, but here all is peaceful and purposeful. You reach for the bag of flour and tip it slightly, letting the flour pour into the bowl. It falls in a soft, gentle stream, white and fine, creating a small mound. You pour slowly, watching it accumulate, stopping when you judge the amount to be right. Perhaps 3 cups, perhaps 4. You are not measuring precisely tonight. You are baking by feel, by intuition, by the wisdom of your hands. You set the bag aside and look at the flour in the bowl. Its surface is smooth and pristine, unmarked. You take a wooden spoon and create a small well in the center, pushing the flour to the sides, forming a crater that will hold the wet ingredients. Now the starter. You uncover the crock and look at it. The starter is alive, a living culture of wild yeast and beneficial bacteria, the same culture that humans have used to make bread for thousands of years. Its surface is bubbly and domed, and when you stir it, it releases a pleasant, slightly tangy smell, sharp and yeasty and alive. You spoon several large spoonfuls of the starter into the well in the flour. It falls in glossy, stretchy globs clinging slightly to the spoon. You scrape it off, adding it to the bowl, where it sits pale and smooth against the white flour. Next, water. You move to the sink and work the hand pump. It resists at first, stiff from disuse, but then it loosens and moves smoothly. Water gushes out, clear and cold, splashing into a ceramic pitcher you have placed beneath the spout. When you have enough, you carry the pitcher back to the counter. You pour the water slowly into the well with the starter, watching as it pools and spreads, beginning to mix with the glossy starter, turning it more liquid, and now salt. You open the ceramic jar and pinch a small amount between your fingers. The crystals are coarse and white, and you sprinkle them over the flour, distributing them evenly. Salt for flavor, salt for strength, salt to control the fermentation and bring balance to the dough. Everything is ready. Now comes the mixing. You pick up a wooden spoon and begin to stir, moving in slow circles, bringing the flour from the edges into the wet center. The mixture is dry and shaggy at first, clumps of wet and dry, not yet unified. You continue stirring, moving the spoon in patient circles, folding and mixing, gradually incorporating all the flour into the liquid. The dough begins to come together, forming a rough mass. When the spoon becomes difficult to move, you set it aside. Now you will use your hands. You dust your hands lightly with flour and reach into the bowl. The dough is sticky and cool, clinging to your fingers. You press into it, folding it over itself, gathering the loose bits and incorporating them into the mass. The sensation is pleasant, satisfying in a primal way. Your hands know what to do, how to press and fold, how to coax the dough into cohesion. After a few minutes of mixing in the bowl, the dough has come together into a rough ball. It is still sticky, still shaggy, but it is unified now, one mass instead of many parts. You dust the wooden counter lightly with flour and turn the dough out onto it. It lands with a soft plop, spreading slightly under its own weight. Now comes the kneading. You stand before the dough, your hands resting lightly on its surface. It is soft and cool, slightly tacky to the touch. You can feel the potential in it, the transformation waiting to happen. You begin to knead. The motion is simple and ancient. You press the heels of your hands into the dough, pushing it away from you, stretching it. Then you fold it back over itself, pulling the far edge toward you. You turn the dough a quarter turn and repeat. Push, fold, turn. Push, fold, turn. The rhythm establishes itself quickly, your body remembering the motion even if your mind has forgotten. Push, fold, turn. Push, fold, turn. At first the dough resists slightly. It is slack and sticky, clinging to the counter and your hands. But you continue, steady and patient, dusting with a little more flour when needed, never adding too much. Push, fold, turn. Push, fold, turn. Your breathing syncs with the motion. Breathe in as you push. Breathe out as you fold, turn. Breathe in as you push. Breathe out as you fold, turn. The kneading is meditative, a moving meditation, each repetition identical to the last, but also somehow different. You feel the dough beginning to change under your hands. It is becoming smoother, more elastic, less sticky. Push, fold, turn. Push, fold, turn. The cottage is quiet except for the soft sounds of your kneading, the gentle thud of dough against wood, the whisper of your hands moving, the crackle of the fire in the oven behind you. You knead for 10 minutes, perhaps longer. Time becomes fluid here, less measured by the clock and more by the feel of the dough itself. Push, fold, turn. Push, fold, turn. The dough is transforming. It is smooth now, silky almost with a subtle sheen. When you press your finger into it, it springs back slowly, the indentation filling in as if by magic. This is the gluten developing, forming a network of proteins that will give the bread its structure and chew. Push, fold, turn. Push, fold, turn. Your shoulders move in gentle rhythm. Your arms are warm from the work, but it is not strenuous, only steady. You feel strong and capable, connected to every person who has ever kneaded dough, who has ever made bread for themselves and those they love. Push, fold, turn. Push, fold, turn. Finally, the dough is ready. You can feel it in your hands, the way it moves, the way it feels. It is smooth and supple, elastic but not sticky, alive but not yet risen. You form it into a ball, tucking the edges underneath, creating tension on the surface. The dough sits on the counter, round and perfect, glowing softly in the lantern light. You wash and dry your hands, then lightly oil the ceramic bowl with a small amount of olive oil, tilting it so the oil coats the sides. You place the dough ball into the bowl, turning it once so all sides are lightly coated with oil. Now the dough must rise. You cover the bowl with a clean linen cloth, tucking it gently around the edges. The dough will rest here, warming slowly, the yeast consuming the sugars in the flour and releasing carbon dioxide, causing the dough to expand and rise. This will take time, several hours perhaps, but there is no hurry. Time here in the cottage stretches and bends, becoming something different than it is in the outside world. You carry the covered bowl to a spot near the fireplace, where it will stay warm but not hot. The fire in the oven has burned down to glowing coals now. The flames subsided, but the heat intense and steady. The oven will need more wood soon to maintain the temperature, but not yet. You step back and look at your preparations. The dough is resting. The oven is heating. Everything is proceeding as it should. You move to the window again and look out. Full night has fallen now. The snow is still falling, visible against the darkness only when it passes through the small pool of light that spills from the window. Beyond that circle of light, the forest is invisible, present only as a feeling, a sense of trees and space and quiet. You feel utterly at peace. You return to the oven and add more wood to the coals. The fresh pieces catch quickly, flames rising once again, licking up the sides of the dome, heating the stone and brick even more. The heat radiates outward, warming the kitchen area, warming you. You will tend this fire for the next few hours, keeping it steady, allowing the thermal mass of the oven to absorb the heat and hold it. When the oven is fully heated, you will rake out the coals and embers, sweep the floor clean, and the oven will be ready to bake. But that is still some time away. For now, there is only the tending, the waiting, the quiet companionship of fire and dough. You prepare yourself a simple meal. There is a crock of butter on the shelf, covered and cool. There is the honey, dark and thick. There are a few apples in a wooden bowl, their skins glossy and firm. You slice an apple, the knife moving cleanly through the crisp flesh. You spread butter on the slices, then drizzle them with honey. The combination is simple and perfect, sweet and rich. You sit at the wooden table and eat slowly, savoring each bite. The apple is crisp and tart, the butter smooth and creamy, the honey floral and complex. The flavors are clean and distinct, each one appreciated. Outside, the snow continues. Inside, the fire crackles. The dough rests. Time passes in a way that feels both slow and swift. You check the dough after what might be an hour. When you lift the cloth, you can see that it has grown, expanded, the surface domed and smooth. You press your finger lightly into it, and the indentation remains, filling back only slightly. Good. It is rising well. You add more wood to the oven. The fire responds enthusiastically, flames dancing bright and hot. The stones around the oven opening are hot now, radiating steady warmth. You return the cloth to the dough and let it continue rising. You sit in one of the wooden chairs and simply rest, your body relaxed, your mind quiet. The cottage holds you gently, a small island of warmth and light in the vast winter darkness. Eventually you check the dough again. This time when you lift the cloth, you can see that it has nearly doubled in size. The surface is domed and taut, and when you press it gently, your finger leaves an indentation that springs back slowly but noticeably. Perfect. The dough is ready. You dust the wooden counter lightly with flour once more. Then you reach into the bowl and gently coax the dough out onto the counter. It releases from the bowl easily, having been oiled, and lands softly on the floured surface. The dough is soft and pillowy now, full of air, alive with fermentation. You can see tiny bubbles beneath the smooth surface, evidence of the yeast at work. You will shape it now into its final form before baking. The shaping is gentle, not aggressive. You do not want to deflate all the air that has built up during the rise. Instead, you carefully stretch and fold, creating tension on the surface of the dough while maintaining the airy interior. You pull one edge of the dough and fold it over the center, then the opposite edge, folding it over as well. Then the two remaining edges, each folded toward the center, creating a rough package. You flip the dough over so the seam side is down. Now you use your hands to gently rotate and tuck the dough, cupping it with your palms and pulling it toward you slightly with each rotation. This creates surface tension, forming the dough into a smooth, round ball. The shaped loaf sits on the counter, beautiful and simple. Ready for its final rise, you prepare a basket, lining it with a clean linen cloth and dusting the cloth with flour. Then you carefully lift the loaf and place it seam side up in the basket. You fold the edges of the cloth over it, covering it gently. This final rise will be shorter, perhaps 30 minutes or so. Just enough time for the dough to relax and expand slightly after the shaping. You set the basket near the warmth of the oven and turn your attention to preparing the oven itself for baking. The fire has been burning for hours now, and the oven is thoroughly heated. The brick and stone have absorbed the heat, turning the oven into a massive thermal battery that will bake the bread with steady, even heat. Using a long metal rake, you pull the burning coals and embers out of the oven, spreading them in the fireplace where they glow red and orange. Then you take a damp cloth tied to a long wooden handle, essentially a mop, and you swab the floor of the oven, cleaning away any ash or debris. The stone floor gleams in the light, clean and hot, ready to receive the bread. You step back and assess. The oven is ready. The bread is nearly ready. Soon, very soon, it will be time to bake. You check the loaf in the basket. When you gently press the side, it springs back slowly but surely. Yes, it is ready. You prepare your tools. You have a wooden peel, a long flat paddle used for transferring bread into and out of the oven. You dust it heavily with flour to prevent the dough from sticking. Now comes the crucial moment. You carefully tip the basket over the peel, inverting it so the loaf releases from the cloth and lands seam side down on the floured surface of the peel. The loaf sits there, beautifully rounded, smooth and perfect, using a sharp knife. You quickly score the top of the loaf, making several shallow cuts in a simple pattern. These scores will allow the bread to expand in a controlled way during baking, creating the characteristic appearance of artisan bread. You move quickly now, not wanting the loaf to stick to the peel. You position yourself at the oven opening, the peel extended. The heat radiating from the oven is intense, washing over your face and hands. With a practiced motion, you slide the peel into the oven and give it a quick, firm jerk backward. The loaf slides off the peel and onto the hot stone floor of the oven, landing exactly where you want it. Perfect. You withdraw the peel and immediately close the oven opening with a heavy metal door, sealing in the heat. It is done. The bread is baking. For a few moments you stand still, simply feeling the accomplishment of what you have done. From flour and water and salt and starter, guided by your hands and your intention, you have created something. And now the oven is working its ancient magic, transforming the dough into bread. You step back from the oven and take a deep breath. The heat has made you warm, and you can feel a light sheen of perspiration on your forehead. You are tired in the best possible way, a tiredness that comes from good work, from creating something with your own hands. You clean the counter, wiping away the flour and putting the bowls away. You tidy the kitchen area, returning everything to its place. The movements are slow and meditative, a way of honoring the space and the work you have done here. As you clean, The first hint of the smell reaches you. It is subtle at first, just the faintest suggestion of something wonderful happening. But within minutes, it begins to build, to deepen, to fill the cottage. The smell of baking bread. It is like no other smell in the world. It is warm and yeasty, sweet and toasted, complex and utterly comforting. It speaks directly to something ancient in the human brain, triggering feelings of safety, of home, of abundance. You pause in your cleaning and simply breathe it in. The smell grows stronger, richer, more intoxicating. It fills every corner of the small cottage, replacing the lingering scent of wood smoke with something even more wonderful. You imagine what is happening inside the oven. The dough is expanding rapidly in the intense heat, the moisture in the dough turning to steam and pushing the structure upward and outward. The scores you made are splitting open, creating beautiful patterns. The surface is changing color, turning from pale to golden to deep brown. The starches are caramelizing. The proteins are undergoing the Maillard reaction, creating hundreds of complex flavor compounds. The crust is forming, crisping, becoming something entirely different from the soft dough that went into the oven. Bread is being born. You move to the window and look out. The snow is still falling, thicker now, accumulating on the windowsill, adding to the drifts that surround the cottage. The forest beyond is invisible, lost in darkness and snow, but here inside, there is warmth and light and the incredible, soul-satisfying smell of baking bread. You feel profoundly grateful. After 30 minutes or so, you return to the oven. The smell has reached its peak, filling every breath with warmth and comfort. You open the oven door, and a wave of heat and fragrant steam rolls out. And there, on the stone floor of the oven, is your bread. It is beautiful. The loaf has risen magnificently. The scores opened wide. The crust a deep golden brown with darker spots where it has caramelized most. The surface looks crisp and perfect. You slide the peel under the loaf and carefully remove it from the oven, cradling it as you would something precious, because it is precious. It is the result of your time, your care, your hands, your intention. You set the loaf on a wooden cooling rack on the counter. The crust crackles softly as it hits the cooler air, making tiny popping sounds. This is the bread singing, the sound of a perfect bake. You step back and simply look at it. Steam rises from the loaf in gentle wisps, visible in the lantern light. The crust is deeply colored and beautifully scored, the interior radiating heat. It is perfect. You know you should let it cool before cutting into it. Cutting bread too soon releases the steam that is still cooking the interior, that is finishing the transformation from dough to bread. But tonight, you decide, you will not wait. Tonight, you will eat this bread while it is still hot from the oven, steam rising, the interior soft and tender. You take a serrated knife and position it against the side of the loaf. The crust resists for just a moment, then yields with a satisfying crackle. You saw gently through the loaf, and the two halves fall open, revealing the interior. The crumb is beautiful. It is open and airy with irregular holes throughout, evidence of a good fermentation and a gentle hand. The color is creamy white, shading to deeper gold near the crust. Steam rises from the cut surface, carrying with it the most incredible smell. You cut a thick slice and place it on a ceramic plate. The bread is almost too hot to touch, but you do anyway, feeling the warmth radiating from it. You carry the plate to the table and sit down. The lantern flickers beside you. Outside, the snow continues its endless, silent fall. You tear the slice into pieces with your hands. The crust shatters, releasing more steam. The interior is soft and tender, pulling apart in soft, irregular chunks. You bring a piece to your mouth and take a bite. The flavor explodes across your tongue. The crust is crispy and deeply flavorful with notes of caramel and toast and nut. The interior is soft and pillowy, slightly chewy, with the complex tang of the sourdough and the sweet, wheaty flavor of the grain itself. It is one of the most delicious things you have ever tasted, not because it is complicated or fancy or made with expensive ingredients, but because it is simple and honest and made with your own hands. and eaten here in this warm cottage while the snow falls outside. You eat slowly, savoring every bite, feeling the warmth spread through your body. You tear off another piece and another until the entire slice is gone. You cut another slice and spread it with butter. The butter melts immediately, soaking into the warm bread, creating little golden pools. You take a bite and the richness of the butter combines with the flavor of the bread, creating something even more wonderful. You eat until you are full, until you are warm, until you are satisfied in the deepest possible way. The meal is finished. The bread sits on the counter, still radiating gentle warmth, filling the cottage with its comforting smell. You have eaten well, perhaps more than you intended, but it was impossible to resist. You clean your plate and put away the butter. You cover the remaining bread with a clean cloth. Tomorrow it will still be delicious, though different. The crust will soften slightly, the crumb will firm up a bit, but tonight you got to experience it at its absolute peak, hot and fresh from the oven, and that is a gift. The fire in the fireplace has burned down to glowing coals, red and orange in the darkness. The cottage is warm but not hot, the temperature perfect for sleeping. You bank the coals, covering them with ash so they will hold their heat through the night without burning away completely. The oven too has begun to cool, though it still radiates warmth. You prepare for sleep. There is a small bed against one wall, positioned near the oven to take advantage of its warmth. The bed is simple, just a wooden frame with a thick mattress stuffed with wool and covered with soft linen sheets. Someone has prepared this bed for you, turning down the covers, placing a thick quilt at the foot of the bed. The pillow is plump and soft. Covered with more clean linen, you change into soft sleeping clothes that you find folded on a chair. They are simple and clean, smelling faintly of lavender. You extinguish the lantern and the cottage falls into gentle darkness. Not complete darkness, for the coals in the fireplace still glow, and the oven radiates a dim warmth that seems almost to have a color of its own, a deep red orange that pulses gently. You slip between the sheets, and they are cool and smooth against your skin. You pull the covers up and settle into the mattress, which gives beneath you in all the right ways, supporting your body, allowing it to fully relax. The pillow cradles your head. You adjust your position slightly, finding the perfect spot, and then you are still. The cottage is quiet. Outside, the snow continues to fall, but you cannot hear it. The world beyond these stone walls has faded away completely. There is only this small room, this warm bed, this moment. Your body is tired in the most satisfying way. Your muscles are relaxed, loose, heavy. Your mind, which has been so busy for so long, is quiet. There are no thoughts demanding your attention, no worries pulling at you. You take a deep breath, and you can still smell it. The bread, the wonderful, comforting, soul-satisfying smell of the bread you made with your own hands. You take another breath, deeper this time, letting the air fill your lungs completely before releasing it slowly. Your body sinks deeper into the mattress. Your limbs are heavy, so heavy, as if they have been filled with warm sand. Another breath, in and out, slow and steady. The warmth from the oven reaches you here in the bed, a gentle, radiant warmth that touches your face and shoulders. It is like being held by something larger than yourself, something benevolent and ancient. Your breathing slows further. Each exhale is longer than the one before, each inhale softer. The darkness is complete now, the coals having faded to the faintest glow. But you do not need light. You are safe here, warm here, held here. Sleep is coming. You can feel it at the edges of your consciousness, soft and welcoming, like a wave gathering far out at sea, building slowly, inevitably. Another breath. Your thoughts are dissolving, becoming formless, losing their edges. The cottage holds you. The bed holds you. The darkness holds you. Sleep is here now, no longer approaching but present, wrapping around you like the warmest blanket, like the softest down, like a mother's arms. You let go, you sink, you drift, and you sleep. The snow continues to fall outside, silent and endless, covering the forest in white. The cottage stands solid and strong, its stone walls holding back the cold, its warmth preserved within, and inside, in the small bed near the cooling oven, you sleep deeply, dreamlessly, peacefully. Tomorrow is far away. The world is far away. There is only this, warmth and safety, and the lingering scent of bread, and sleep, deep, restful, perfect sleep. Your breathing is slow and steady, barely audible, the breath of deep rest. Your body is utterly relaxed, every muscle loose, every joint soft. Your mind is quiet, empty, at peace. The bread you made is there on the counter, waiting for morning, a promise of nourishment and comfort when you wake. But that is tomorrow. That is later. That is some other time. Now there is only sleep. The darkness is complete and comforting. The warmth surrounds you. The silence holds you. You sleep, and you sleep, and you sleep. And in the morning, when the sun rises over the snowy forest and light filters through the frost-covered windows, you will wake slowly, naturally, rested in a way you have not been rested in a very long time. You will rise and stoke the fire and cut another slice of bread and eat it with butter and honey while the cottage warms around you. But that is tomorrow. Tonight, there is only this, sleep deep, restful, healing sleep. The kind of sleep that knits up the raveled sleeve of care. The kind of sleep that restores and renews. The kind of sleep that only comes when you are truly at peace, and you are at peace, here, in this small stone cottage, in the heart of the winter forest, in the warm bed near the oven, in the lingering scent of bread and smoke and snow. You are at peace, and you sleep, sleep now, sleep deeply, sleep well. Let the night hold you, let the darkness comfort you, let the warmth surround you, and sleep. Sleep until morning. Sleep until the light returns, at sleep until you are ready to wake. But until then, just sleep, sleep.